Bob, can you hear me?
You ready? Oh, the back.
This gives us the opportunity to say.
Hey, Bob, can you hear us? Bob, can you hear us?
I hear you good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Ready? Let's call to order City Port Richey City Council meeting Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. I'd like to invite services to the invocation rate standing.
Father, we come to you in the precious name of Jesus. We thank you for this meeting, for the stuff that's on the agenda tonight, that we could have a wise counsel to be able to come together to make decisions for the better for the city and for the community and for code enforcement, for resolutions, for the stuff with the CAC, with the committee to plan city events. So we just thank you for that as well, and being prepared for the hurricanes and the past hurricanes, but we ask for protection for that. But either way, we'll be ready for anything that comes at us together as a city, as a team, to work together with resources that we have in the community, with law enforcement and first responders, fire department, and those that would volunteer to help. And we thank you for this in Jesus' name, amen. To the flag of the United States of America, for the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, have roll, please.
Mayor John Eric Hoover,
Here.
Vice Mayor Chris Mayer,
Here.
Councilman David Mueller,
Here.
Councilman Robert Hubbard,
Here.
Councilwoman Lisa Burke,
Here.
City Attorney Nancy Meyer,
Here.
City Manager Andrew Butterfield.
Here. Thank you. Okay. So we don't have any minutes, so we can jump right to comments from the general public. I do have one sign up. It's Danny Fields. Welcome.
Okay, my name's Danny Fields, 8114 Leo Kid. Again, I just want to thank you for your service. We just had an event in Clearwater that I talked about, so working with the mayor there on June 8th, and that was a good event. And that's the same thing we're doing here, the faith-based church and government working together to build relationships. We see what's going on in California and areas like that. This is where it's good to build a relationship and have the government and people stand in with law enforcement and first responders to be a voice to try to bring peace. We know we can't please everybody, but we have to uphold the law and stuff. So talking about the CRC, which is going to be coming up, that was a great event for public relationships that the city did in the parks and for the parade and the car show. I got to be a part of that as well, so I enjoyed being there. I got a lot of feedback for that. That's something that we could continue to work with. Later on, I would like to even maybe make some time to set in on some of the meetings and not lead, but just to partner, because we do Somebody Cares 5 events in the park, and we're going to be having one coming up. I'll be getting the permit on that, and it's back to school backpack giveaway at Waterfront Park, and that's where we've had the law enforcement be there and the fire department, and we could work with other groups and come together to do events. So Somebody Cares, Light of the World, and other organizations are willing to partner with you, and we could do our events, and we could partner with you with your events and continue to just grow and make us a great place to where Port Richey will be known as a place where we can live, play, work, and grow and work together as a team. So thank you.
What's the date on that backpack giveaway?
Here we got it on that. It's going to be on July the 26th.
July 26th.
Yes, and so I was going to come in tomorrow and put in the permit for that. I'll schedule a time to talk with our new city manager as well, because I know he'll be approving that, and I could catch him up on some of the stuff we do. I've already talked to the chief here about stuff. He's already been doing great work on his own public relationships. I've seen him with the other sheriff department, also with Port Richey, building that relationship not only here but with our neighbors, and that's what this is all about. So we want to grow and put this place on the map, and the only way to do that is, for me, is to know to bring the Word of God in it, and then come together and look how we could have a great place to live and work. So I got one of the things, and I didn't want to come and preach to you, but I want to say thank you for looking at the heart of people and be willing to grow. Thank you. Blessings.
The time until July 26th.
Yeah, the time's going to be set up. We're going to actually be there, Waterfront Park, from 10 to 12, but I'll be there at 8:30 getting everything set up with the team.
Okay, so the event's 10 to 12?
Yeah, so the event's going to be from 10 to 12. And I'll give you guys a flyer, because we're still out on the date. So I was just kind of saying that's what working with the community, the city, and the faith-based and the CAC together is a great opportunity to continue to work together, is what I'm saying.
Yep. Thanks, Dan.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? About line? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back. Next up is comments from the city manager. I'll pass it to Mr. Butterfield for his comments.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'd like to give my appreciation to the team here. Just started my second week here yesterday, and meeting a lot of people, staff, citizens, and a lot to learn, but off to a good start. Primary focus, I would say, are two seasons right now: hurricane season and budget season. Hurricane season, we got the newsletter out, an update from last year with extra information, more than last year, a lot of lessons learned last year. We're trying to build resiliency into everything we do and build here. Of course, we have to reflect on previous hurricane season. On the storm season just passed, we had a FEMA team drop by last week, unannounced, and we answered all their questions. We got a check from FEMA for almost $600,000 paying us back for the expedited funds. FEMA let us know I think they're entering what they call their second phase of auditing from last fall. So they'll be spot checking some records in various municipalities. We're drafting a letter of notice reminding people to get their permits for work they do. A lot of people, there's at least 5 dozen citizens in town that have signed up and been approved for Elevate Florida. So they're not supposed to, just a reminder, they're not supposed to do work until they go through that process, correct? We met with Pasco County last week too on the program for public information, because during the times of crisis, getting the info out in as many ways as possible is what we aim to do. So we're working with the county there. Budget season. I owe the council a timeline. We're going to reverse math. I'll get with Adam here later this week. We'll figure out when the budget is due for second reading and then back up to the first reading. And I'm going to propose at least one, maybe two workshops to cover CIP and the general operating budget, and make sure we've worked that out with council. So if workshop sounds like the right solution to go into the budget finalization, we'll do that. Yep. Just a couple of other things I'm looking into. The idea of a single hauler in town for waste management. I don't think it's been done here, and so but we'll take a look at that and study the options. Might reduce traffic on the roads and wear and tear and things like that. So I want to focus on making sure the city is ADA compatible everywhere, every sidewalk, and if it's a state road or a county road, we'll get with them to make sure they are too, but extra set of eyes on that. I'm going to investigate annexation. That's a topic around town, maybe make the town a little bigger. I'm going to focus on with the staff training, cross training, and as Vice Mayor suggested, AI training, so we can get more out of everybody with more training in their field. And AI, I'm new to it myself, but I know it's a force multiplier, if you will. So we're going to meet next week with the developing team down on the waterfront and see where they are in their proposed process. We're going to work on the modern day front door, the website, and our phone tree to make sure we're all here as reachable as possible for the citizenry. I haven't gotten a look yet at our stormwater master plan, but I know that's in work, and we'll see where we are in that. And I just wanted to give a shout out for the great town hall last week. I got to meet some citizens there, hear some of their issues. I've learned golf cart becoming golf cart friendly is important to a lot of citizens. We have to work with FDOT wherever we cross their road, but that's in process. And then we're also going to work on acoustics here in the chamber. Because I've been out on various seats out there at previous meetings, and it's hard to hear. I think it actually comes across better to folks that are live streaming. It does. So we'd like to make it just as palatable to be here and hear as much as you do for those people that are out there live streaming. So unless you have questions for me, that's probably enough out of me for now.
Sure.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, thank you.
We're allowed to ask.
If you have questions specifically, yeah, sure.
Do we have any updates on where we're at with Pasco County and the dispatch transfer? Is there any news on that? I know it needs to be voted by
the county commissioner,
but I don't know where that stands.
My understanding that was signed and approved by this council, and it went to them, and we're waiting on it to be there. Well, I have to check with them if it's on their next agenda.
That was the last I understood. I messaged Captain Seltzer about 2 weeks ago, and he said the same thing. He said there were some other things they had to take care of, so that kind of took a backseat for a little bit. He just needed to get it to the county commission for its approval, and that was about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago at the most.
All right, thank you.
Good. Thanks. Other questions for Andy? Okay. Moving on. Comments from boards, committees. Did anybody have anything from boards, committees? I can give a little bit about CAC just because I attended it, and they had some things they wanted me to bring back. We've talked in the past about doing a mural in Olsner Park, and I know Andy kind of looked into the city basically pressure washing that, painting it white, kind of giving them a blank slate or whatever, and they were actively looking for some volunteers that would might want to paint the mural on there. So they wanted me to bring that back, basically to see if you guys are on board with that as well. And again, if it comes down to they might need some funding or whatever to hire somebody, if there's some, let you know that.
Aren't we been looking for grants for that? I mean, before like a year.
Yeah, I think we had grants, but we also.
Well, let me ask you this: we got CRA, and this is something that would be, improving the blight, improving the look. I'm wondering if that could be, accommodated there.
Yeah. So I guess the question is there any objections that if there needs to be some funding put that? Does anybody object to that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So and as well. So
Yeah.
I think they're going to proceed. Obviously, try to see if anybody wants to do it pro bono, and then if they have trouble, then maybe they can come back. At least they know that there's some appetite there that we can help
Well, I
help with
think
that.
the pro bono was that somebody would do the work, but maybe we put the paint.
Yeah. Well, that's another
Yeah.
portion of it,
So-
too. We've supplied the supplies.
Supplies, you know, because we're going to prep the wall anyway.
Right.
The other guy that would probably do it is the guy that does the 19 sign from Sam's Club.
19 sign guy. Yeah.
As long as you give him a little spot to put his little 19 sign down there, he maybe do that. He does
Sure.
really nice work.
Yeah, I don't know if he's responded or not. And I don't know if they've had any responses, but I know they were
I
looking.
believe that they have a couple of ideas. You might want to check with Lori.
Yeah.
Because they did have a few. I think Cindy had vetted a few of these and actually presented it at a
Yeah.
past year Daisy meeting.
Yeah, and it's like they were more concerned with is we good with if one board that to supply the paint, or even maybe throw some funding at it if we need to. So I'll let them know that there's
But we would have some input as to what we want
sure,
done.
Sure.
It's just not just
Right.
blank canvas.
Right, exactly.
You know.
The other thing that they talked about was putting together a resident packet, both digital and print. And the idea behind that would be as new residents come and sign up for the water service, we could actually hand them something with some information about the city or the pertinent information when the council meets, and maybe some other process stuff, maybe some hurricane stuff, important phone numbers or whatever. So they want to see if we were also good with that. I think it's probably a no-brainer, right?
It's kind of like the old welcome wagon.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of new people coming to the city.
Yeah.
A lot. Getting them updated information will be important.
Yeah, so they're interested in putting something like that together. So that's more to come on that. And like I said, I think once they do, if we get it all digitally, actually we don't want to print it and send it to everybody in the city. We have something here if they wanted it, but we have it available digitally. They can just pull it down and send a note out and say, hey, here's our new member packet in case you need any information there as well. So for long-term residents to catch up. And then the last thing, which I mentioned to Danny before the meeting, and also the attorney, they were wanting to have their own backpack drive, and the church does theirs. And so I've asked Nancy to look in to see if there's any issues with us working with the church on a backpack drive, kind of make it a little bit bigger event, I guess. So did you have anything on there? You'll come back with that, I guess. Okay, that's all I had from the CAC. Any other boards committees?
Yes. I attended, along with the mayor and the vice mayor, the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council meeting on Monday. Good information. We had previously attended the summit that they had down in Bradenton last month. Really good contacts. They're a wealth of information, and I believe that some of the discussion we can certainly leverage off of some of their expertise there, and I'll share this document with you as well.
Yes, sir. In a previous life, I've used them. They've got great data that we may think, we don't have access to, but they may have it. So
Okay, so you have some actual contact there already.
Yes, sir. I've met with them. I didn't go to this year's event, but I know they always are offering to help to member, and we're members by state law, I think.
Yeah, and I think we took 7 people from the city staff, the city manager, and 3 council members went to really, soak in what they have to offer. They talked about some of this. There's some grant money available too, and I brought up the fact that we could possibly look at leveraging some of that for stormwater, and they kind of indicated there might be a possibility to use some of that as well. So I've got some contact information there. But it was a pretty good meeting. Certainly get something.
Yeah, there was. I'll just bring this up too because there was a brownfield representative there,
That's where it was. Yeah.
and I know Matt started to look into that. I know there's some things the city could leverage those brownfield grant monies for. I'm not sure for how far he got with that. And we also have a site that both Dave and Jack kind of talked about at that meeting about our cleanup site over there. We've got the DMMA.
MMA.
Yeah. Over there on the corner of. Sorry.
Right across from the fire station.
And so obviously we took that material and contaminated that lot ourselves. That's what the purpose of that was for. But it wasn't clear if there was a path there because we were actually cleaning up the waterways with it. And that's just a storage place. There might be an opportunity that there could be some help there. So maybe if you reach out to
And it could have dropped.
Right.
By sitting out there.
Sure.
By the way, I was at Home Depot today in Mill, Oregon. I sell $10 a bag. That used to be $3. That's basically what we have on that.
Yeah. The contact is Richard Jenkins, and I can get you his phone number after the meeting. He's and I actually sit on the Brownfield board too. So
Perfect.
Got it. Thank you.
the only other board committee we haven't met, but we're just to let you guys know, the Centennial Committee, as we're winding down, we scheduled our last meeting, I think, in July, mid-July sometime, 18th, 15th. And so we'll get together for the last meeting and kind of fold everything up. And the one thing we haven't finished up yet is the donations that came in. We had $1,280 cash through our raffles and whatnot. The Chamber of Commerce has picked that up and they deposited that. And so I'll be working with them to get that distributed to the 5 charities. There's also, on top of that, there was, I think, $175 in credit card charges at the Mayor Ball. As after fees, it was 160 something. So that'd be rolled in with that 1280 and distributed 5 ways. So that's I'll be working with them, and hopefully that'd be, I don't know if we bring them down here or what the process would be, but we're gonna get that out to those charities. So anything else you have, Sal, on the
We're just still gathering getting the information for the awards for all our sponsors.
oh yes.
Yep. So I'm sending that out to TJ and giving him all of the list, and he's gonna give me a price on them. So that's under work.
Yeah. So what Sal's talking about is we're going to give it a memorabilia for sponsorship. So different levels, a little bit different things. He's in the middle of procuring that, so that's in the works too. So to appreciate those. Okay, that's all I got then. Next up is consent agenda. Look for a motion and or discussion.
I had a question on that. On the Home Depot sewer charge there, to that account, are there more charges than just the Home Depot portion of that going to that account? Or is that only Home Depot?
That should be the
Your mic.
Home Depot.
Your mic, Adam.
That should be the Home Depot's lift station. It may carry a little bit more than just the Home Depot.
Well,
But it's just for the lift station.
Yeah, that's just what they named the lift station.
No, I get that.
Yeah, it's more
But if
than
I do the math on that, it doesn't run out. So it made me think there was more than just the Home Depot lift station in that account. And you kind of confirmed it is?
Yeah, that.
Okay, thank you.
That's the master station that goes out to Pasco County. So
Okay.
that's why they call it the Home Depot, because it's literally located behind it. But we actually don't service the Home Depot Plaza.
No, exactly.
It's located on Scenic Drive, literally behind the Home Depot. We call it that just for location purposes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion second. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, bring it to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is council business. Item number 2, surplus of impounded vehicles. I'll pass that to Mr. Butterfield for introduction.
It's just a periodic reallocation goes to auction, auto auction. But I don't know if there's anything. Adam, did you have anything on that?
On the surplus?
The surplus auction.
No, sir. I mean, it's a regular thing. No. Yeah, I don't really have anything on that.
I think the only thing is I think we changed auction houses.
Yeah, we did that a couple months ago. I think we've gotten 2 checks, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 checks, maybe, yeah, that I know of, yeah.
Jeff, thanks for
I do. Yeah. Is there as I was reading the other day, I understand that there's a fee of around $1,200 or $1,500 that gets charged to an owner for storing the vehicle, transport, and all that stuff. If I'm correct, I read it.
How much?
Is it $1,200?
It was 17 something, and I think these are all write-offs. 1775.
So that's what's assessed against the
Owner.
the owner,
Right.
right? So are we doing anything with that, or are we just like that's like
I think
the
they're
back
right.
of Adam's book somewhere?
I think they're writing it off, and we collect, but based upon the sale of the vehicle. But we probably
Correct.
come up in the hole.
I'm trying to go a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
I understand that these scooters are not going to bring $50 to $100 in, okay? But if you got a $1,700 bill attached, I mean, what are we doing with that?
So the only thing that we collect is just the impound fee and then whatever we sell at the auction.
So there's another number you just charge off.
Yes. I mean, I don't. I
We don't
think
send
maybe
it to a collection agency. We don't try to.
it'd probably be too expensive to do that. But we don't do that here. And as far as I know, there's not been any policy put forth that we were doing that. I mean, are you familiar with that? So
I don't want to run our city based on the fact that we've never done it that way. I want us to think about opening up our minds to other things. And I'm just saying, it's not that, the guy driving the moped is going to be the guy we go after. But if we've incurred storage expenses and all these things, and it's going against our budget, and we're collecting $50 on the moped, we cost $200 to get it down there. What are we doing to go after that other money?
I think what we should do is, either prepare for council at the next meeting or following meeting, is a breakdown of what charges do we have out there and what we've collected. And then that way provide that spreadsheet and then see what our next steps to go forward on that is. So we, as of right now, no, we don't go to an outside collection agency, but it's not that we can't approach that. But I think that it would probably be best to see those hard numbers first to see if going out to that collection agency would be worth it. And then we can actually get quotes from those agencies to see how much it would cost for them to go ahead and solicit to try and get those funds back for us. So I think that the best bet would be to see an initial breakdown of,
I appreciate that, Sal. I can't do my job here if I don't get accurate information.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what
It's
I'm
just like we've always done it that way. I don't like we've always done it that way because that gives us the inability to get better at what we're doing. So that would be great because I've talked about this process of these vehicles going to auction, and there's not that many. I mean, there's a few scooters and there's a couple decently late model cars. It's not a lot of money, but if we're incurring all this expensive storage and all this other stuff, somebody should pay us for that, or we should at least put that through to where maybe in the future we'll get some of
Well,
that.
that's the thing is that we can, we can take a look at how much the tow was, the initial tow.
Right.
The storage this is why we have an initial impound yard here. So it's not like we're paying, a third party for storage. So we basically store those vehicles here. We don't maintain them. We're not cleaning them or anything like that. And if we don't get back what we're telling the owner to come get their car out of impound, that's when we then approach to send it out for auction. So that's the benefit of having our own impound yard, because if we were paying another tow company for those fees, we would incur a lot of fees that we would probably never get back. Because they sometimes charge, if I'm correct, anywhere between $50 to $150 a day. Just ballpark, just estimate. So all depending on that on the tow company that's that we're using, which is also in a rotation. So it all depends what company it was. But I think what we should do is that for a future meeting is go ahead and provide the city manager with an initial breakdown of what we actually spend out compared to what we're obtaining from the auction, and then seeing if there's other fees that we're missing out on. And then go ahead and go forward with
Give
that.
us I'd like an actual snippet time. I'd like to see on 12 vehicles that were back there. They were impounded. Here's the storage fees. Because believe it or not, that space back there is not free. Us taxpayers are paying for it. It's expensive. And even though we don't charge by the day for the space back there, that space is money to the taxpayer. So I would like to see what
we should
it
have a
costs.
limit. We should have a limit on how long we keep these vehicles. The van's been there 2 years. You're not going to auction it off. You junk it out for $250, $350 to be done. Gone. Hopefully they pick up the mopeds and the other bike with it, just to get rid of it. I have to have a limit on how long you keep these things. We're not like a storage facility, because like Chris said, there's no reason to keep them here.
No,
Obviously, they don't want them. We had a policy, we'll keep them for 12 months. After that, they'll be junk. Maybe if they want them, we'll get them before then. But this can't be a storage facility.
There's a legal.
Chief, do you know the timeline?
So we keep them for 90 days, but some of them have criminal court cases going, such as an accident with injuries or death, that we might have to keep them for 2-3 years. And then when it finally gets disposed of, then we have to go through the whole entire process of notifying the owners, giving them an opportunity to pay the fee, sending the research to the attorney's office, and that's how you have some on here that are more than 2 years old sometimes.
Frank, do they get assessed a fee on something like that if the vehicle is involved in a crime and we have to keep it after the court case? Do they get assessed that fee?
Yes, to a limit, and the court system and the state attorney's office also puts it into the restitution. But at the end of the day, it comes back to trying to get money out of a rock. And you see it more modernly with child support payments where people can't pay it. So they lock them up in jail for a certain amount of time. And I don't think they're going to do that with cars that are in our impound, but it's definitely something to look into for the price cars that we do.
Is there liability on the owner if they don't pick up the vehicle?
There is. Absolutely, there is. Yeah.
Well, they lose it. Yeah.
Well, right, but I mean,
No, it's
liability as
more
far
than
as
that. But
paying
these-
fees.
These tow companies who impound cars, they're getting storage fees, and they put a judgment on every single person that does not pick up that car. And those judgments, they just mount up, and it's millions and millions of dollars. And over the years, that money keeps coming in. That's what I'm saying. Are we just not doing it
Yes.
when we should be doing it? You know, we should have a process in place to, you know, if their car gets impounded for a DWI, and they go through a rough time in life, but then they get back on their feet again, they're making money working. You know, there should be a judgment there sitting there waiting for them to do that if it's worth going after. I mean, some things are not worth going after.
Ainsworth explains a little different as a city as a towing company. We can't just impound vehicles and then try to profit off of them. But you're right. We need to have more strict rules as far as the capacity of what we're going to keep these vehicles at, and try to get the money from the owners. If they're not going to get any money from them, jump them out. I'm guaranteeing they're going to get money out of half these vehicles, probably, or at least all of them. They're just going to sit there.
Sounds like you've got a great idea. Thank you for being able to do that.
No, we'll get that information.
Thank you, sir.
You know, I've asked for a report on this for some time. This isn't the first time. But essentially, there's a couple dimensions, and you tagged it. You have cash and non-cash expenditures here. When it's sitting out back, there's really no cash going out the door. It's an opportunity lost, but there's no cash going out the door. When a tow is involved, that tow charge is an actual cash outflow. So I think what we want to do is have a report that delineates what we're really out of pocket and compare that to what we actually receive from these auctions to see, hey, is this the best way to, try to make ourselves whole, or are there other alternatives? I think, Chris, you suggested that we do our own in-house auctions or something, or have a company do it right out of our
There's
lot.
companies that roll up in here,
Right.
they'll sell the car
Right.
right on the lot right there. They'll have a Saturday, whatever it is, and they'll
But
key the cars, start them up, everything.
if we get the report, I identify what we're actually out of pocket on this stuff and see if it's making sense. I mean, ultimately, we're trying to make ourselves whole, right? We keep it 90 days, sell it, and hopefully try to get more than $1,800 or $2,000 for these cars. And I doubt if we're receiving that kind of money.
And if you notice on this one, we did put the out-of-pocket dollars on there that you requested last time, showing that it didn't actually cost us money for these, but like the commissioner mayor said before, it does cost money for taxpayers for the storage out there because it is their property at the end of the day.
Is this invested dollars?
This is the invested dollars for these vehicles here, so we could always come back and after they're auctioned off, bring you back another report saying, hey, this is what you did in January, and this is what we got for those vehicles.
Right, but we incurred a tow. We probably have a tow cost on
We don't pay for that. The tow companies pay for that because that's what they do for us to be on our rotation list. So we call them.
Okay,
So
that's
if
a
there's an
trade-off.
accident for something else.
Okay,
that's
we weren't aware of that. So these are important facts that are surfacing, and that's appreciate that.
I appreciate this because I signed off on a routine thing, but routine means doing it like we've always done it. And if there's a more modern way to, like Carvana or something, where we can get more money and clear the yard. I was going to ask a related question, if that's impacting operations, because there's too many cars back there. If there's something we can't do because it's too crowded, we need to find another site.
They try to get them out as quick as they possibly can, but unfortunately, some of the criminal cases take a little bit longer than others.
Yeah.
And you can see someone here from February 16th. That's pretty quick to get rid of a car after you wait the 90 days and do all the notifications and the legal parts of it. But then you have one on here from 23, which is well over 2 years. So we try to stay on top of it and get them out as soon as we can.
Are we paying storage anywhere? Okay, so we've got capacity in the yard still.
But we are paying for transportation from here to the auction. We send it there.
The auction people use that as part of their fees.
I understand, but we're paying for it when it gets over there. They deduct
It's deducted,
whatever we
yeah.
guess.
What if it doesn't sell and we own anything? Or?
I would
I
assume it
don't
just
know.
holds until it does.
I think it cycles around and they sell it.
I think without spending any more time on it, a clean way to look at it is just take an actual group of things that we've sold. What did it cost us to store them? If nothing, fine. What did it cost to ship them over there? What did they bring when they got moved? Was the final check? And is that check exceed or is it less than what we have invested in the tow and all that stuff?
Do we ever write a check to the auction house?
Sure.
No?
No.
No? Okay. So basically, we either get money or we don't.
I mean, yeah, I'm just.
But we're not paying out.
We just get our yard cleaned out.
Yeah, but we can take a look at it and see if there's.
Yeah, as long as Sal gives me a report, I'm good. I want to see what it is. Just, yeah. How much did it cost me to get that $50 moped brought on the other side of Florida over there, you know? And then the auction fee was $200, transportation was $200, and it was worth $50, so it cost us $350. It came off of one of those other cars.
Maybe that moped needs to go to STR instead.
It needs to go right next door to the scrapyard.
No, that's STR. Yeah.
Okay,
So-
is there a motion or you guys?
We'll come back with more information and hopefully maximize the opportunity more. Yeah, thank you.
I don't think we need a motion.
Yeah, there's a motion
Yeah, we do?
there's
We gotta
a
approve.
motion to sell these vehicles at the auction, and I'm making that.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, put to the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion. It's unanimous. Ayes have it. Next up is item number 3, first reading of ordinance number 25-735, amending chapter 24, article 4, section 24-180 of the Port Richey Code of Ordinances to change the residency requirement to Pasco County and address selection of the chairperson and vice chairperson, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. I'll pass that to Mr. Butterfield for introduction.
If I could, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I just wanted
Pass
to
it
read
to
it
Nancy.
fine. This might look familiar to you because you've seen it before. You actually had the first reading on this ordinance at our last meeting, and it just addressed the residency requirement for allowing for Pasco County residents. And within that conversation, we talked about, you'll see it, your next agenda item is a resolution that appointed a secretary for
Right.
historical preservation. And within that conversation, you asked that I add language having the selection of the vice chairperson. That invoked another part of your code. So we're going to start over. That's why you're saying it again. So this ordinance will expand the residency requirements to allow for Pasco County, and also, in addition to selecting a chairperson, it will indicate that they have to select their vice chair. So that is why you're seeing it again.
On it says the chairperson shall be a citizen of the city of Port Richey. Do we?
That was asked for last
Right,
time.
and I get that, but should we put that in there if possible? Because if you don't have anybody in there,
That's a conversation you guys had last time, and this was the language that we decided. I can absolutely change it to whatever you guys would like it to be. Because we talked about if you make the chairperson a citizen, then you might end up with the same issue you have now with not having enough people.
This is Pasco County.
it's open to the entire Pasco County.
It's open.
Right. So where you're narrowing it down to Port Richey?
On section 2 of the ordinance.
Okay.
The chair.
That the
Section
chair,
yeah.
be
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
the
okay.
chair.
Okay, good. Okay,
I think that's important. That
If
we have somebody from our city driving it,
what if we don't? Though? That's the
and
question.
then we have to figure it out.
So the committee be defunct unless we get a resident there as a chair. And then you have the conversation is
Cross
do
that
they want
bridge
to
when
chair
it
it?
comes.
Maybe they don't want to chair it. So
Well, they're going to have a vice chair.
like, I get it, but if you get people that don't want to take the chair,
You have to have a leader.
You have to have one.
that's correct.
Right, but he's saying
Does the leader have to be a resident? We'd
Yes.
like it to be. But if you want to hamstring the committee because of that, that's all I'm saying.
This is a historic committee. Come on.
it's like any committee where it was like CAC when we were all and say no, not everybody wanted to be the chair.
Figure it out.
So do we need to make that decision now?
Yes.
And if we do, it'll change it all again.
Well,
No, that's
if
minor.
you, I can add some words and delete some words and
Tweak it.
not mess up for second
I
reading.
like what Eric said.
If
I like
possible.
the fact the chair should be a resident of the city of Port Richey, if possible. Leave it up to the committee. And that way we kind of steer them towards, we want to have internal people running that committee.
So you just want to change the words and add comma if possible.
And that way it doesn't, if it's not possible, then at least you can still operate.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion second. So that's with changes.
With
That's
change.
I need to know what the motion is. Your motion to approve ordinance number 25-735 with the changes.
Correct.
Adding if possible. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll put to a vote, and I'll pause for Bob in there. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Clarification, Vice Mayor, motion, and
Dave, second.
Second.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so if I can just keep talking, the next resolution is the same resolution you saw last time that you've already approved. But when you approved that, this is having historical preservation assign a secretary. But your motion to approve this resolution included adding the language about the vice chair. So I needed to bring it back to have you again approve this as is.
Okay, so item number 4, approval resolution number 25-33, requiring the Historical Preservation Commission to appoint a secretary from among its members and providing for an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll put to the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Bob?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up, item number 5, approval of resolution number 25-35, creating an ad hoc committee to plan city events and providing for an effective date. I'll pass that to Ms. Meyer for introduction.
Oh, sure. Okay. This was discussed last time we were together that there was interest in creating an ad hoc committee for event planning. So what I've done is just take your resolution from creating the Centennial Committee and tweaked it just a little bit. But for the most part, it is the same structure as the Centennial Committee. And I am here to hear your comments to make it what you want it to be. So just give me the edits.
Okay, what do y'all think?
I think it's a great idea. We need to do it. I love the fact that we're doing events in the city and people are coming. They're enjoying them. They're bringing their families, and we need to do more of them and a lot more of them.
Motion to approve resolution 2535, creating an ad hoc committee to plan city events and provide for an effective date.
Well, before you accept that motion, do we want to talk about any changes to it, or are you good with the way it is? Because I got a couple of things I'd like to think. I can bring it up after if you'd rather.
Sure.
So,
Is there a motion? There's a motion.
There's a motion. Go ahead. Is there a
right,
second?
yeah,
There's a motion on the floor.
okay, is there a second? Second, okay, motion second. Any further discussion? And I have some. So, it just, if we change something, then you got to amend the motion. I just try to make it easier. I'd like to see the name be called something along the lines of marketing and event committee, because I think there may be opportunities there to market to city too, that they should be kind of goes hand in hand. So if we can kind of not necessarily dual task them,
Marketing and events. Something
Yeah.
to that effect.
just to, in case we need to task them with doing something, maybe not event, but more marketing exposure.
Is that the name, or is there a better name?
Oh, I don't know.
We haven't really defined a name. It's just create an ad hoc committee to do this. We haven't named it.
Within the resolution, I named it event committee.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the name of the committee. That was just for purposes of
Community Event Committee.
Marketing
where's
event.
that?
Marketing
I like the
event.
sound of that.
whereas.
We need
That's right, so
marketing.
yeah.
Attorney likes it.
The
That,
CEC.
the purpose of that is just it's easy.
Yeah.
The resolution doesn't have.
Why
to
not?
Okay, what was it? I missed that.
The CEC,
Too confusing.
Community Event Committee. I love it.
We already have CAC.
That's okay. You can have CEC and CAC.
Oh no. Oh no.
You don't like the marketing aspect of it, or?
I think we're trying to make this kind of a
We
family
could have it
friendly.
the MEC.
When you throw
Marketing
marketing in there,
event
like, oh, you're trying to knock on my door and solicit something. We don't need to do that. We want to make it more friendly.
Okay, I mean, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I just wanted to define it for what we want to do. So if it,
It mattered enough for you to make a difference, and so I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to add to it. I think Community Event Committee is awesome.
okay, I'll go with that.
I'm going to amend my.
Well, hold
motion.
on, man. We got more discussion.
More.
Okay. The makeup of it, obviously 9 members, and I do think it needs to be a good sized committee, and so I think it's the right number.
Because there's a lot of work.
Yeah, that can be involved. It had the city manager or his designee and the mayor as well. I'd like to put that, or his designee. I mean, I don't mind necessarily doing it. It's a lot of work, and just depending on what's going on, I may or may not have the time to do that. So,
Could that be like, what?
well, I mean, it's if I just have, I mean, I would plan on doing it, but let's say I get a real job someday and I might not be able to do
You
it.
have a
Can we look a little bit deeper into this? because this may be something way bigger than what we're thinking. We're thinking like a couple hot dogs at Walmart for a car show. I'm thinking live events on Waterfront Park, and we're booking all kinds outside talent. I'm thinking, you know, just a big, huge thing constantly happening like they do over in Newport Richie, where we want to, you know, start to bring our residents over here and bring more people over here. So I think it could be a real big thing, which is why I don't want to undercut it now. I want to make it shoot for the stars.
No, I just, because the way it's written, I have to be on it. So.
Or your designate.
It doesn't
But
say that.
it doesn't say that.
It
So
doesn't say that.
that's why I suggest we add what my designee is, well, just like city manager. So
I agree. Yep.
I'm more than happy to be on it. It probably will be anyway, but I
Dave's
just,
got the motion.
I don't want to, hold on a second, we got,
Oh, you got more?
no, let's go
You
through
ready
this.
to go?
Let's do due diligence here. Everything good, 5 quorum. I think that's probably,
How soon are we looking to put this together?
it'll be effective as soon as we vote on it. So, so I think it's all, everything else is pretty much the same as Centennial.
Let me just ask, do you want to put the name in here? You don't, have we decided a name? Do you mean to add, that this will be
Yes,
known
it's
as?
Does it really
CEC.
matter? It doesn't. We can call it anything we want, but it's whatever we designated.
Maybe it's better not to call it anything and then let that committee decide.
Let the committee decide.
I think.
That would have to be in a resolution.
Well,
Create a name.
the resolution is it's an event committee, but if you want to give it the name, if you want to pick a name today, we can add it today. If you want to have time, if you want to do a drawing, everyone give what their ideas, and we can come back and give it the name later. So I just,
You don't have to amend the resolution to do that?
yeah, we would, but I mean,
That's
a
what-
resolution, I mean, it's,
Well, let's just get it done now.
That's what I'm thinking.
We're going to amend the motion to call this the Community Event Committee,
CEC.
PRINS, CEC, and modify Section 2 to reflect and the mayor or his designee.
Perfect. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Dan?
Go first. I was just going.
Go to Mike. Tell us who you are, where you live.
Name, rank, and serial number, sir.
I was just gonna say Port Richie, Matt Douglas, 7447 Candlelight Court. All right, I was gonna say PREC, Port Richie Event Committee, but
Rick?
because we already got CAC,
Right.
This is CEC.
we already. It doesn't matter.
So the initials you're recommending is PREC?
It's hard even to say. PREC.
The PREC committee?
oh, that's,
I don't think so.
you better be careful of that.
Danny?
Say aye.
I think
PREC.
Okay, Danny Fields, 8114 Leo Kid. Well, you guys already know that Light of the World and Somebody Cares does a lot of events in the park. We always partner with the city, so that's an opportunity for you guys, us to partner together. We get permits, we got insurance, we could cover all that. That saves the city a lot. We promote the city, just like what I was talking about we got coming up. Stuff like back to school backpack giveaway. See, that's giving back to the community for the kids. I go into the schools and even do get them and get a list of stuff, and we could partner with them. We give it out at the park. We bless the family with the faith-based church and government and the business around and supply the supplies and give to them. And then we got a lot of other events that we do, like we wanted to partner with what we talked about with the car shows and just work with Yins and CAC. So these are great opportunities to build what we was talking about, the community. So like we got another event coming up. It's called CareFest. We're going to schedule that in September. And what's CareFest? That's where we could work with code enforcement, find out projects that are simple here because we're a small organization. You know, maybe it's grass that needs cut and little projects like that it needs done. Well, we could find volunteers that would go do them projects and help code enforcement out. That's what really Somebody Cares is about. So We got Fall Fest. Fall Fest is really trunk or treat, where the kids get to get candy, and the police officers and the fire department is the ones that gives it out to them. So they don't give them a trick, they give them a treat, and they get to build a relationship with police officers. They give stickers out and hats, and they show them the cop cars and the fire department, and and they do stuff like events that kids could come to their. They go to the schools, or they come to the fire department and do events. See, this is what we could focus on with the community on giving back. They're already doing this stuff. It's just how we can partner with businesses and the CAC and that. And then it goes on, and I won't take up a lot of your time, but like in October, it's called Faith in Blue. Faith in Blue is to get people aware of what is going on with the police department, that they're the good guys, not the bad guys. If people are out there spitting and breaking and looting and tearing up and rioting, and they have the right to enforce the laws to protect. So I'll leave it here at this. And we do a lot of other things, like the Thanksgiving in the park. We give thanks and have all that. And then we also end up doing Christmas in the park. So there's so much that we could do that we're already doing, and just add to it and just partner. That's all I'm saying. And I'll come in and sit on some of the meetings, and not to try to tell you what to do, to just partner, and how can we do this together, all of us together with our thoughts. We could come up with great plans that just benefit the city and the people. How's that?
Yep. Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
I
Comment?
agree 100%. I agree completely.
Bob?
See, we don't need any more committees. I think we've got too many committees. Too many people make commitments. We can set up notifications with Impounded, Girl Disruption, a lot of other businesses. They can work with CAC on different events. We want to plan coming up in the future.
Yeah, I will say, Bob, just on that the CAC, it's been tossed around. Back actually, when I was on the CAC, I thought we should kind of morph it as well. But on that committee, they don't really want to be
Event planners.
Yeah, they want to focus on the other stuff. So go ahead.
Matt, I recant what I said about PREC, or Port Richey Events Committee. I think it's great. I take back what I said about the Port Richey Events Committee. I think that's a great acronym. Matt, you were right.
Yeah.
All right. But here's the deal. I think we have to do that. I don't think you hand it over to Danny. I think Danny becomes part of it. He may be one of the committee members. That'd be fantastic, But
I want to come and just sit in on the meetings. I don't want to add more to my plate.
Oh, you don't want me to give you another job?
Already.
Danny, if you go to the bathroom, I'll handle this for you.
Yeah. Wait till he steps out. We'll take care of him.
I think it's a great idea, and I think that part of us really, we're getting ready to drop some money on a Wayfinders thing for the city. We're going to change the way it looks when you drive into the city and the things you do, and I think that's right in lockstep with what we need to do. So I think it's a fantastic idea, and I love the Port Richey events.
Okay, so you're advocating to change the name to Port Richey Event Committee?
Yeah, I think it's
Is that,
yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Douglas, Candlelight Court.
What comment?
Huh? Oh, I was just going to tie into what he was saying. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'm on the CAC committee, and I don't know if there's any communication going on with the chaplain about, because you brought up the
That's why we need
school supplies. Right. So maybe like a liaison between like somebody helping out with what you're doing and the CAC is talking about, because they brought up that, remember you were at the meeting as well, the school supplies and different events and different things like that. So
Yeah.
that's it.
So there'd be coordination obviously with the church, because they do put on events, and like I said, with specifically the backpack one, that'd be something that I know that Caroline, who's also, to tell you, she's expressed interest in being part of this committee. She's already working on that as well as some other things. So I think there's once the committee gets spun up and gets staffed, we'll work on that.
Okay.
Thank you for your input, sir.
Yeah. So is the maker okay with amending his motion to change the name to PREC, Port Richey Event Committee?
Yes, I'll amend the motion to change the name to the Port Richey Event Committee, and include the designee
the mayor.
or the mayor.
Okay, second, good.
Second, good.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bob, you a yay or nay?
Aye.
Aye? Okay.
Yep.
Unanimous.
Agreed.
Motion carries. Okay, next up is item number 6, Gaming Control Commission Mutual Aid Agreement. I'll pass that to Mr. Butterfield for an introduction.
Yes, sir. We're just signing and having you approve an MOU, a memorandum of understanding between the Florida Gaming Commission and the city. So in the event there's illegal gambling, we can work together to stop that.
Okay. Any,
So moved.
okay.
One second, can the motion also allow the chief to sign the MOU?
Okay. So moved. Okay.
Second.
We got Dave second. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, I put to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Before you move on.
Sure.
I'm anticipating there might be a need to address some ordinances, the chief and I, to help this in the future. I would can't get too much detail right now, but would like direction from you to allow anything the chief needs to help with this that I bring to draft and bring back to you.
Okay. I think everybody was an aye. Is there any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. And now, is there any objection to Nancy
No.
working with
No
the chief?
objection.
Thank you.
Can we, who seconded? I'm sorry.
I with motion, Dave was second.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 7. Approve resolution number 25-34, extending a temporary waiver of building permit fees for repairs related to building or structural damage caused by Hurricanes Helene and Milton, providing for intent and purpose of this resolution, providing for filing period for eligible building permit applications, and providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. I'll pass that to Mr. Butterfield for
Yes, sir. This stems from a discussion at the last council meeting 2 weeks ago, and just exploring the opportunity because permits were waived, permit fees were waived, not permits. Fees were waived. That ended yesterday, close of business, and we just happen to have the next meeting today. So there's some discussion on whether to extend that or partially extend that or have fees go back to normal. I can address the impact it's had so far on the city financially.
Right. So it looks like based on the package, there's so far we've waived $347,584 in permit fees from October 1st to June 5th.
The last 8 months.
Just for clarification purposes, that's not reimbursed by FEMA. As a matter of fact, they're going to take that same number and they're going to reduce whatever reimbursement we're getting by that amount. So it's actually a $600,000 or $700,000 hit as of we stand right now. So, and I think this resolution, if passed, will extend it again, correct? So,
60 days.
Not interested in extending it.
okay.
8 months. And the bigger question is, how many of these damaged homes have not come in and applied for a permit? Do we have a number on that? An estimate?
Last time we looked at it, we were looking at probably about 300.
300 MIAs.
That's what the reason for the new letter that's going to be going
So
out.
I mentioned earlier that we're drafting a letter reminding people you need to apply for building permits.
Do we know where these people that don't live here?
Sure.
Mainly?
Yes.
They're mainly second homes.
Some that live here, there's people that live here that just still haven't came in because they feel that they don't need to.
I voted no on this last time. And the reason I voted not to extend it is the people that are going to move and do something already did. They already did. And the ones that they're not going to do it no matter how much time you give them. They're not going to do it until they have a little bit of pressure to do it. I mean, for those listening right now, I can tell you firsthand experience, you've got to get active and get these people into your house so you can assess the situation. Tony's been fantastic at that, okay? And he's been very, regardless of how the people feel inside about the fear, because I had that same fear. He went by the book. Here's the numbers. Bop, bop, bop. There it is. They need to get the city in their houses. They need to get these houses back to less than 50% so we can move on down the road. But I think extending this right now at the $600,000 range, I think we are blowing taxpayer money. We're burning it. We need to stop right now.
Yeah.
It's costing us money for Tony. It's costing us money for these people to do this job. So I'm not for this motion.
So I need a motion to deny if that's the case.
Wait a minute, I got some more questions. Pasco County, have they stopped building permit, waiving permits?
I think they have.
I know Newport Richie has.
The other problem with Pasco County is Pasco County is sent out letting people know that you have 30 days to decide what you're going to do, or we're going to demo your house.
Yeah. Well, I'm not advocating going that far, but I make a motion to deny this.
Okay.
I would second.
There's a motion second. Any first discussion? Any public comment? Okay. Seeing none, before I put it to a vote, there was originally, as part of this, was to discuss, and I don't know if we need to do another agenda item or if we need to discuss it here before we do it, but for the other stuff that we're building on top, or if you're raising your house, if we're going to allow any,
That's separate.
something separate.
It's a whole separate.
That's a whole thing.
Yeah, I know it was part of this when it was when Matt was putting this together, so that's what I thought. So let's go ahead and close this one out. So any further discussion on that?
I think my understanding is FEMA won't reimburse us for waiving those.
That's correct.
But insurance companies would have reimbursed people for doing
Paying,
it. So
yeah.
it's kind of it might feel good, but it actually is hurting the city's finances. So
Yeah.
I think it's all right.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Bob, are you aye or nay?
I said aye.
Oh, I couldn't hear you. Sorry. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Okay, next up is item number 8, city manager search proposals. I'll pass that to Mr. Butterfield for introduction.
Okay, not trying to put myself out of a job, but
But you are.
But you are.
But you're going to manage it.
we've solicited and got 4, and you should have been able to read those ahead. 4 firms that specialize in searching for city managers and county administrators.
Okay.
So it's there's a range of prices, and it really depends on what firm you feel most comfortable with.
So I'm going to open up motion and discussion, and I'll start. And I have some information that is interesting that I'll share with y'all. Would love to call you when I found it out, but obviously this is the forum I got to do that in. So surprise. So 2 things before I start with that. There was an interest in having a discussion about looking at our government style and seeing if there's any tweaks we want to do. One thing I want to point out is we do have a interim city manager in place right now. And so now would be the opportune time to take a look at that while we have that structure before we hire somebody full time. So I think we ought to talk about that before we move forward with the other. That being said, back when we hired Matt a year and a half ago, we went through, we used Colin Basinger firm, and they brought back several folks. And we came down to 2 folks, Matt Koppler and Don King. And the council at the time, which was only me, these are all new, obviously, but I know some of you were involved in that process when they came and met folks. We paid around $30,000 for that firm. But anyway, we came down to that. It was a toss-up between Matt and Don. And matter of fact, when I found out that Matt was leaving, I went out to LinkedIn just to see what happened with Don, because I felt really bad for Don because he was a good solid candidate, and we could only hire one. I think it's me or somebody else actually made a comment. Wish we could hire both of y'all. That's kind of the way it come down, because it was a tough decision. So I looked out to see what was going on with Don, and ever since we had hired Matt, as I meet with different mayors or whatever, I'd hear they were looking for city manager. I'd always promote Don because I knew he was a good candidate and whatnot. And I think he maybe interviewed at a couple places. But when I looked out on LinkedIn, I noticed he was at Kenneth City, Florida, which is down below St. Pete. I think that.
Right.
Yeah.
1 square mile.
Yeah, it's kind of inland, but it's Kenneth City.
By Largo, between Largo and St. Pete.
And he had just been there for about 6 months, because I didn't know what his status was, if he was maybe interested in the interim or not. But when I saw he had just been at Kenneth City for 6 months, I figured, well, he's probably settled in and whatnot. as things would have it, I have to get a message on LinkedIn when I was out there. He popped up open for work. That he is now looking. I think he's already resigned from Kansas City, or he's in the process of doing that. But he's basically going out on the market for a position. So I sent him a message to reach out because I didn't know, like I said, what he's looking for. And so he called me right away, and I told him, I said, "What's going on?" You've been a short period of time, and anyway, not a good fit for him, basically. And so he's still in the market. He was our finalist. He was our backup candidate. And so if you all are interested in that, what I would suggest is that, and I talked to him, he's very interested in the opportunity. We could interview him and see if you guys want to move forward. We could actually save ourselves the search.
That's an interesting proposition. I interviewed the guy. I sat out there, but I quizzed all those guys, and the two choices were, and rightfully so, the council approved Matt, and the runner-up was Don King. But I thought he had tremendous qualifications. Another military guy. I think he was a colonel, right?
Yeah. He actually, his experience was more military as far as running a base, which is similar to a small city. And I think when it came down to it between him and Matt, obviously Matt had the city manager experience. And so that's kind of gave Matt a little bit of an edge. But I can tell you, I like Don as one of my top candidates all the way through the process. And Matt was maybe third, maybe fourth, I can't remember. But as we interviewed, Matt continued to come up. And so, but at the end of the day, it came down to Matt and Don. And so Don's available if we want to take a look.
Is that something you want to do a special meeting for, and just have him back in here and have a conversation?
He's ever run is Kansas City.
I don't know if he was anywhere in between there or not, but he was a base commander at a couple different places, I think. So he's got experience on the military side, and now he actually has city experience.
For 6 months.
And I can tell you, the guy, he's a go-getter. He likes to move, and it's worth a conversation, I think.
No, I love the idea. I love the idea of not dropping $30,000 of our money on another search. But I love the idea of not dropping $30,000 of our money on another search. But I also wanted to glean back on Andy, who's been here for 2 weeks right now. And Andy doesn't even have the new car smell off of him. We're trying to trade him in for another car.
Says the car salesman.
Says the car salesman. I mean, he doesn't even have enough time to figure out whether he likes this or not, or whether we like him or not, or he likes us. Are we not a little bit premature on this? What do you think?
Well, I think again, I don't speak for you, but we may
I've heard of it, so I'm taking it in.
Yeah,
I was hoping to have 6 months, but
right, and
you need to do what's best for the city too. So.
And I love that about you, but I want to make sure you're not the right guy. What if you're the right guy and this is the right place for you?
So far, I'm having a blast.
That's what I'm saying, and you're that even keeled person that we may need to hold this whole thing together. You know, you're not that you're like this guy, which we don't need, and we don't need that guy who's gonna, don't wave any red flags and cause any problems. We need a little more than that to get the city to the next level. You could be that guy. We won't know it if we just jump on this boat to go. We could interview the other guy. But I also want to make sure we keep Andy with some ability to get his feet wet here.
Yeah, and don't take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to push you out for sure. But I mean, the original intent was that actually you want the 6 months. That's kind of what we thought. And it probably would take that long, obviously, if we used a firm to go through that process.
Well, let me stop you right there, because all of these proposals had 90-day time limit on them.
Oh, do they? Yeah,
every one of them.
That's right.
So one of them, Colin, had 60 days.
Yeah.
So go figure, right?
I think how long did we take when we went through Colin and we got Matt? It was probably about 6 months before it was all said and done.
That's because people made bad decisions and chose to hold the interim guy, open it back up. There was stupid stuff.
No, the last time when we did Matt.
No.
When Sal was interim.
Right.
How long was that?
I was interim for 6 months.
It was right about 6 months. Now that they got candidate stuff back to us, but we had to schedule time for them to come on site, and so they'll get us candidates within that time frame, but we've got to go through the process and schedule interviews and go through the interviews.
Well, for example, they held the thing open for a long period of time. Doesn't necessarily need to be that. People see an ad and they're going to respond. in a 2-week time frame. That's different. I think they drag their feet, and I would not recommend calling the next time.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Well, so I bring that to you just because there was significant effort put into that process, and he was one of them. And he is on the market as of very, very recent. So,
Dave, are you okay if we interview that guy? Like just interview him?
No, that's what I'm
And we
suggesting.
don't move forward with dropping $20,000-$30,000 of the money and kind of just take our time here. We don't have to run out there right now, do I?
Yeah,
We've got Andy here.
no.
So
getting
my
his feet wet.
recommendation
Kick
would
this
be
out
that
for
we
2
table
weeks.
this
Yeah.
until we interview Don, and maybe we have a special meeting to discuss the other things and look at structure and see if there's any things we want to change or whatnot, and then make a decision based on that. And if not, then we can always come back to the firms. And
I mean, the only thing I'm looking at, is Andy's here right now. He's committed. He's made the move. He's here. He's meet with everybody. Why don't we give this pony a little bit of time to run and see what happens? I mean, really, if you say it happens in 90 days or something like that, we're 90 days ahead of time right now. What we should be doing.
We're going to be a month, or almost a month in.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah. So let's interview Don. Just have a special meeting to interview Don, see if he doesn't come above or whatever it is. But I think we give Andy some time to do his thing, and then we'll keep talking about this.
well, Andy's in the role. I mean, he's not going.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's on the roll, but let's give him some time to find out whether he can turn the motor on.
Right.
Then why are you going to go ahead and interview the other guy? Because you're just wasting his time.
And ultimately, we're looking for a long-term replacement. I mean, a permanent.
And it was made clear during the interview process that that was an interim, and I believe you said that obviously you
Would
wanted
like to
the
get
interim,
6 months. Yeah.
but there was no commitment that you would even move forward in that for a long term, right? Is that
I think I said, let's wait and see if we fall in love.
That's exactly what he said.
That's
That's exactly what he said.
If I was like, to you guys, then I'd kind of get out of
Sure.
the way and keep my head held high. But again, what you have to do what's best for the city. I like being here because I feel like I'm just starting.
right? There's nothing to like or dislike at this
The
point.
men's room.
No. Yeah, hurricane season just started.
Right.
We're gonna test him by fire. Andy's gonna be tested by fire here real soon, and we're gonna be able to see what he does under fire. And if we don't see that,
No pressure.
we actually get the luxury and the beauty of seeing him under fire versus another guy's come here and put on his best suit and show us a thing like that. With this guy here, we get to actually put him under fire.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And again, all I'm saying is sometimes you got to look at opportunities when they're there, and not that. I mean, it's just the interview.
Well, let me ask you this. She said that we're wasting his time. I don't think we're wasting his time. I think we're giving him an opportunity to meet a new council, right? We know where Andy's at. We're giving him some horsepower. We're trying to see what he can do. What's wrong with bringing another person and just talking to him? I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
All right. I mean,
I'd make a motion that we try to schedule them next week for a special meeting. Is that what you're looking for?
I would not put a time on it. Just
What's Bob
to
think?
be determined. Yeah, Bob, you got comments? Bob?
Yeah, well, I think we need to, we're going to go after a city manager. We need to do our due diligence, find someone young, full of energy, that's willing to be in for a long haul. Andy's here on interim, and I appreciate the fact that he's going to be here long enough to give us time. Take our time to do the right thing and get the right city manager. As far as the other guy you were talking about, you can't, well, interview him. We need to look at all the prospects that are available. It's important.
No, absolutely. And the only reason that I suggest that we just take a look at Don before we make a decision is just because he went through that process and he was selected pretty much. Other than the fact that, and so
Before
that wasn't you all.
We've done
right?
the work.
I
But-
don't have a problem having him come in and interview him. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is saying, well, let's see what Andy does, and then be interviewing people.
Yeah, no, I would think if
Which way you're going to go with it?
I would say if we're bringing Don in, we need to be prepared to if we like him and really think he's the one, hire him. It's not a waste of time. It's he's
Well, that would
But
be,
then Chris is saying, let's sit.
he
and
would
watch.
have to be exceptional. You know, he would have to be exceptional
Sure.
to come in here and do that.
It's a decision.
But that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with bringing him in here. We don't have to pay $30,000 to bring him in here.
Right.
We just bring him in here.
I would venture to say that if we paid one of these firms $30,000 and he was interested, he would be in that mix with a bunch of others, and we'd be interviewing him at some point in the future anyway.
That's true. But I'm okay with, and I would make a motion that we table this right here.
Okay.
That we, within the next 7 to 10 days, we bring this guy in here to interview with us, right? And
It's got to be a public meeting, doesn't it?
It's gotta be a public meeting,
3
yeah.
days lead time. So the soonest we could do that is Monday.
Well, don't schedule it. Just
well, I don't want to be in Las Vegas when this comes down. I want to be right
Well,
here.
sure, and it's you don't have to set a date when it's going to happen.
Okay.
We can just, if you want to interview him, we decide to interview him and let Andy reach out to him, work it out, get with each other's schedule, set that time up whenever it's appropriate, and then
I'll make that
And
motion.
but it's got to be a public meeting, noticed, right?
Yes.
And it's got 3-day notice, right? For a public meeting? Ashley, is that right?
This is up to you. You can either set a special meeting for his interview, you can put it on a council meeting, we can adjust things however.
And I would suggest that it not be just a public meeting, but we do the same thing where we each individual time with him, and
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and that is basically. Yeah. Yeah. What problem with that, Sal?
No. I'm just thinking how that would
Logistically,
in my head.
it's a little easier because we're not flipping around different candidates. Just one candidate,
Right. If we're not, we're gonna have to do the multiple thing.
And he's
not
local.
just-
No, we're not doing that.
and he's local, so
But I believe he still lives in Pasco County, right?
he can't leave a city, so he's right down.
No, that's where he works. He lives in Pasco County.
Oh, I don't know.
He did live in Pasco County.
Maybe they didn't require him to move down there. I don't know. But he did. I think he lived in Newport. Where did he live?
No, he lived over by Wesley Chapel, I think.
Oh, okay.
Not to make it about me, but I was offered an opportunity to apply somewhere else yesterday, and I turned it down because I committed here.
Right.
But again, it was a 6-month commitment. It may be an option if we both wanted to follow. But will you let me know if I need to start looking for work? Because I got a lot of energy left, and
Sure.
I want to just keep in mind. The earlier you can let me know something, the better.
Another interim? Yeah. Or I guess.
Just let me know if I need to start.
I believe in you. I want to give you some traction and see what you can do.
I appreciate it very much.
Well, and let me just. Thanks for all I think we all believe in you. That's
as soon as you
That's
know,
why we hired you, right?
you're putting me on waivers. Just let me know so I can.
Yeah. Well, I think it's obviously it being interim is a ebb and flow kind of thing.
Sure, of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
More than a day's notice to pack my stuff.
Oh, yeah,
So
well-
I'm joking, but I do want a little bit of time to accomplish some things.
hey, let me help with this.
I want that. Go ahead.
Let me help a little bit here. So one of the things about Don is that he's a retired colonel. He doesn't need the money, so he has the flexibility. So if I don't know if he's right out the gate looking to get something or not. I mean, we can ask him that, but that's not to say that we interview him the next week or two and we really like him, and maybe he needs a couple months. He wants to go do something. I mean, he's flexible enough that if he's the right candidate, we can give Andy some more time.
But by the same token, if Andy knows that an end is inevitable, which you do,
Why wouldn't he go?
yeah, there might be an opportunity that comes and accelerates his timeline too, right? I don't know what our scenario there is on that side. That's the other foot.
I was determined to not listen to anything else.
Okay.
But if you're saying I should, I appreciate the heads up.
Yeah, well,
That's all.
we don't know. I guess we don't know. We don't know. I guess outside of Don, and again, this is just an odd thing that I thought was interesting, and that's why I'm bringing it to you. And I'd say if we decided we don't want to move forward with that, then we definitely go through that, and there'd be. I mean, we're not going to do that again. This is just kind of a unique situation. And if it wasn't for the fact that he came through that process and we almost hired him before, I wouldn't even have this conversation.
Right.
We'd be going the other way. So it's just, it's just,
No,
is it just is
I'm
it meant to be or something? I don't know. I just think it's worth a conversation, and it could possibly save the city $30,000 if it's, if all you all end up liking him. So I didn't figure it'd be this odd of a conversation, to be honest with you. But sorry, Bob.
You agree?
Yeah, no. Look, I'm not trying to get the cart full of horses. I can have Andy reach out to him, get his resume submitted in. You can go out to LinkedIn. He's probably got stuff out there, and you can look at his background. We actually have his packet from before. If you send it out, that we can have that until he sends whatever new he has in, and just go from there. Yeah, it's not
They could miss out on an opportunity to get someone that's maybe younger, really highly qualified.
right.
They could really help us turn the city around.
Yeah, and again, it's.
Maybe he could. I don't know.
And I don't want to come across here as I'm advocating that we go with Don, so don't misinterpret this. I just, given the circumstances all around it, it's worth a conversation. And if we have that conversation and we think we need to strike while the iron's hot, we decide that. If we decide we're the wait and get some more, maybe we like Don, but we still want to see what's out there that wasn't available 2 years ago. It's just information. We do it with one. But again, at the end of the day, Andy was hired as interim, so there's a timeline there, and I want to reiterate too that if Andy was interested or is interested, yes you are, that pollutes the pool if we go out to a firm, because nobody's going to necessarily want to jump in there if they know the interim's in the mix too, because they think they got a leg up, right? So
and that's why I made a motion to table this for right now. Talk to Don. Right, but if we talk to Don and Don's not the good fit for us here, I still think we table at the moment just to give Andy a little bit of time to show us. I've had one phone call with him since he's been here, and that is not enough time for us to really get a feel for what he can do. And so far, I think he's doing a great job. He's mixing with the people. He's answering questions. He's bringing the right things to the table here. We give him an opportunity to get his feet wet here. We just don't know until we get there.
Andy has a wife in Sarasota. And the more he gets to know us, the more he's going to spend more time in Sarasota, I think.
Andy's statement. Andy's
Can we repeat that
statement.
for you? Hold on, man. So Bob says that the more you get to know us, you're going to spend more time in Sarasota. I'd have to say.
Hey, the good news is his wife might be saying you're going to go spend more time with him in Port Richey.
Well, this is, alone time, but right now she can watch him online.
That's right. She might like him better
But
on
I'm going to
TV.
second his motion.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Danny?
My name's Danny Fields, 8114 Leo Kid. I want to remind you guys of this. So Matt recommended him. So he's here to see if he's qualified to do the job he put in for it. So we got Matt that brought him in, so we got to look at that as well. So I remember Don in the interview, so I liked him, but I said, let's give him a chance, see where he's at. He knows he just said he turned down another position because he wants to work it out here and grow and then maybe have a permanent position as our city manager. So I would like to see him have that shot and then have Don, you guys could interview him. And you guys make that decision, but I look forward to see what he could do, and I believe because of Matt that he's the guy that could deliver and do what he was called to do. I just want to thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, bring it back for vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. I can get you his cell phone information if you want to call.
I'll see whose data rank is higher,
He was Colonel. Well, you were Colonel too, weren't you? Or- yeah.
which is better than
Oh, here we go.
But I have an ex-wife who takes the pension, so
Right.
I'm not as cavalier as Don about working.
I love it. Okay.
So that's on the record now.
Yeah, it is. And she's probably watching. So that's all the council business have. Old business. Any discussion of old business? No?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good on the old business.
Okay. Obviously, the streets are in the process of being paved on Bay Boulevard. The one thing I was going to bring up just on the way here, because we paved around the Walmart area and all that. Now we're doing Bay Boulevard. There's that short little strip of Wilkins that goes in between the two, which would be brand new roads.
Between Bay and the stop sign toward Walmart. Is that where you're talking about?
Strip of Wilkins right
On
there.
Wilkins, yeah.
I wonder if we shouldn't ask them why they're here. And I don't know. I mean, that road's not in really bad shape. I guess what I'm thinking is that you got two brand new roads and you got something that's going to have to be parsed in later.
Well,
I don't know if that makes.
I got a bigger question than that.
Okay.
I've noticed that they've ground down a very deep trench.
Yes.
And now I don't know if it's finished, but they've paved back. They're still down 4 or 5 inches.
Right.
So it appears that they maybe took more than necessary. What's the story there?
That segment they had to, because it was, if you remember what the road looked like before it was sagging. So they had to go down that several inches to get down to the base, and then they're going to build it back up.
So are they going to build it back up, or are they going to, or is it done going west?
I'd have to check with them right now as far as
Because it appears like they're done with it. They haven't ground back.
Well, they striped it.
That's what made me think it was done.
But that might be
Well,
temporary.
they still got to do the other side of the road too, right?
Yeah.
Right, but they're going to bring them level. I get it. But what they've done is they've taken an awful lot of stuff off the.
I had a comment on that too, Davis, right there with what you were saying.
Yeah.
I came down Bay Boulevard between where that road is, where Walmart is, and Old Post.
Chris, can you turn your mic on?
Forgive me. I drove on that road yesterday after they did their grinding, and they went down all the way through the asphalt, the sand.
Right.
They were hauling sand out of there.
Right.
Now here's what I did notice. Okay, we already have a curve there that's close. Now all of a sudden they've tilted the road about like this here. Now when I'm riding down the road, my car is like this down the road, almost trying to pull into there. Now if they're not going to top that up and bring it up a little bit, we're going to have a problem.
They lowered the road. It's going to be a flooding hazard now.
It is going to be a flooding hazard.
And you got that lip, or the concrete lip is about 4 or 5 inches, and somebody's going to hit their tire on that. And that's going to create another issue.
I was worried about the safety of pedestrians, and it's not smooth at all. If you look down it, it's like this. It's like way out of
Well, I
whack.
think it's initial layer. It's not.
Well, if it's a base
Well, let's-
coat and
well,
they're going
let's
to put a
hope
fine
it's the
coat on it
initial.
and it's going to be smooth, I'm cool with that.
Well, they're not getting paid until it's satisfactory. So, it's,
I would say right now it's not satisfactory, and we're just because we live there, we're paying attention to this.
well, that's what I'm saying. It's the beginning of the job. You know, they are.
We'll let it run its course, but
But Daryl has been the point man on that job with them daily.
Yeah.
So I will confirm.
Yeah,
with them
pass the
tomorrow.
feedback on it.
yeah, let's get some feedback on
Yeah,
that.
we'll get feedback.
And if it's just a partial process, I'm cool with that. But if that's the way it's
Yeah, you don't want to wait till the end and say, "Hey,
I'm
wait a
just
minute."
like that's $450,000. We got a whole problem
Yeah.
going on here.
Like
I would say more than likely they've cut the base. They put the base in and they still got to put the cap on it.
After they get the other
Once they
side
get the
based
other
out.
side down and
Okay.
get the two together, then
Then
they'll
they'll
probably
smooth the whole
road and
thing
finish
out.
it, Yeah.
Okay.
And while we're on that, there's a leftover job from the pier demolition. Has that been resolved? Of that concrete that was out in the water, Matt, are you aware?
Yeah, the turbidity barrier is still there.
Is it? So they still haven't completed that task, right?
No, they're not done. We have a follow-up meeting with the engineers and the contractors on that job. They have not finished yet. They're still working on that.
Okay, so that's in process. That's good.
So is there any type of timeline on that, or are they just like?
Well, they've had issues with the tide, so that's
You got to go at low tide.
they're trying to work in the middle of the night, trying to get to extreme low tides, and it's not as common as you think. So, but they're working on the wall in the final phases of that, and then we're still talking about doing a signage for the pier, for the area where the pier was, so boaters understand that there used to be a structure there, but that's still in the works.
And
The
also,
job is not done yet.
Also, Newport Richey and Pasco County have acquired and are looking at demoing the hotel there. So potentially, maybe we need to be in discussion with the use of that property and how it fits into their total site plan. I don't know if Matt had any conversation there or not, but it would be beneficial to the whole community to have a uniform development rather than islands of disconnected things, right? Sure. So potentially, I don't know if there's a committee with Pasco and Newport Richey, but I think we need to be probably knocking on that door and looking at opportunities there and say, hey, what are you guys doing? How can this property also fit into what they're doing? And we can kind of have a meeting of the minds there.
Are you talking about the slice there?
Our slice, the slice that where the pier was and the bathrooms and all that. Ultimately, it needs to be joined together with whatever they're doing rather than just having this thing hanging out there, this little piece of stuff.
So another part of that, and obviously there's Whiskey Rivers there,
Right.
and they're actually encroaching on our property. Their back corner is actually on our property. But depending on what's going on there, and I don't know that either Newport Richey or the county, but I know they're interested in bringing that in as well.
Bringing Whiskey River,
Whiskey River,
Whiskey River, yeah.
as well into that. And I don't know if they've talked to the owners or whatever. I don't know if there's any appetite for the owners to be a part of that project,
Right.
or not. If they were, somebody ought to talk to them.
Okay, I will. Yeah.
Okay. To see what their plans are. I know they do well, but maybe they might want to be a part of that, be a signature restaurant there as part of a new development. And I don't know, but I think since it's going to be right up against them, they
Gotcha.
they ought to kind of be talked to and see what their thoughts are.
But we need to be,
proactive.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the county and Newport Richey wants us to
harmony.
They want us to be a part of that with Whiskey River as well.
Okay.
And so, but again, I don't know what the owners' thoughts are, and I don't even know if they've even been engaged at all. But we do have some issues with our property lines over there. We need to probably address anyway. But
I do want to address the next park repair.
But before you go on that, just going back to my paving thing, is that Wilkins? Is it something we should probably see what additional would be to go ahead and do that now, as opposed to?
That's going to be a change order. They're just going to add to that. That would have to be. We can submit. We can
Right,
submit.
if it's a minimal amount, maybe we go ahead and do it now, as opposed to coming back and hitting that piece later. But
Where is that Wilkins at?
it's
Between Bay Boulevard and the stop sign headed toward Walmart.
It's a very heavily traveled road because people coming out of Walmart going there.
Oh, and we never did pave that originally.
No.
No, between he's talking about the strip between.
We did the middle strip there, where you come off of 19 Ridge, basically Ridge extension.
Richie
Well,
Drive.
basically, if you pass Walmart, you take a left there to T.
What's the condition of that road?
It's older.
It's older, but
it's not horrible.
There's no significant issues with that road. That's why it wasn't slated for.
But it's a very small piece that is going to be old road in the middle of all.
Well, let's just get a price on it, and then
Make a
we'll
decision.
decide.
That's what I was thinking.
Simple.
While they're here, because I know that a lot of they did on Green Street. They actually did the apron going into Green. I guess, are they doing all?
They did all the aprons.
That's what they did today.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I know that Daryl had talked about not paving the bridges.
Not paving the bridge.
Not paving the bridges. On the bridge. On Bay Boulevard.
Right. They're not.
Because of the condition of
The bridge.
I mean, that bothers me. I mean, I live back there. I drive over that bridge every day. We got a problem with the bridge.
Well, that's an exit route. For
That's what I'm talking
evacuation route.
if that bridge is not stable enough to run a grinder over it and take off an inch of air and then smooth it out with the thing there, we got a problem with the only exit and entry that I have from my house. And so I think that's more of an issue than we think, if what Daryl's telling us is the truth. If it is safe, we need to have somebody look at it. We need to find out if it is safe, it's good to go. We need to build that thing and pave it so we can go over that bridge and smooth sail it. Right now, we're going to cut it off here and add it on there. We're going to keep what's crappy in the middle, just hoping that it gets better on its own. And I don't think it's going to get better on its own.
Well, let me ask this question. I heard that we were paving Bay Boulevard all the way back to the gates, right?
Except
And
for the
if-
bridge.
Except the bridge, but I didn't hear except the bridge in that initial proposal. Is that the case?
I have to look. I have to take a look. The bridge thing.
This
I
is
gotta
all
talk to
brand new
Daryl
to
and
me. It's the
everything.
first time I've heard about the bridge.
I got to get into that.
yeah,
I mean, myself and all my community and all
That's
the
an
other
issue.
folks down there, that's an issue. If it's not stable enough to grind down and put a fresh coat top coat on, we got a whole nother
what
issue.
was the reason they were not going to do the bridge specifically?
It was crumbling.
I would recommend talking to Daryl tomorrow. Let's
Yeah,
get some
my
facts.
first day,
Let's get some
Daryl
hard
drove
facts
down.
about the
And
situation.
if you could, please, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think Sal's exactly right. Or what he told you is what he told me. That was a condition. We don't want to make the bridge worse by giving it a. And it makes you go, So, like, when are we going to replace the bridge?
Yeah.
We owe
And
you
I've
an answer.
seen road grinding before, and if you had a bridge that was worthy, grind it right on. They take bridges all the time. They run the concrete, clean off the top of the things, run new stuff on it, and it doesn't affect them. So there's something where like our edges are like just to the edge. I drive over that thing my daughter does every day too. I want to make sure we got a good bridge there, because if we lose the bridge, we lose access to our home.
Yeah. All right. We'll get something.
Access to a lot of homes.
We owe you an
Yes.
answer.
Yeah, there's a lot back there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
And obviously get a quote for the Wilkins and let us know. Anything else on paving? Do you have something else, Dave?
I just wanted to thank the guys for doing the concrete at Nick's Park boat ramp. I think they've actually extended the life a little bit there, so it's not as problematic as it had been, where your trailer tire would bounce into the hole, catch, and potentially knock your axle out. So they've concreted. It looks like it's a better ramp now. And I did talk to Daryl, and he says, yeah, he went down there. People weren't having a problem coming out of the thing. It looked like it was working good. So hats off to them for following up on that.
I went in the other day. It's much better.
Much better.
Much. But the dock. When are they going to work on the dock itself?
Well,
Because it does need help.
I think we have some grants out.
I know we talked that they were going to do something to the dock. There's some loose.
I'll have to find out.
Some of those metal
Up street
slats
on
are
that
loose. They're
south.
not. I can't explain it without you seeing it. They go under like a lip, and some of them, you know what I'm talking about. Some of them have popped up, and it's not. There's nothing that's major wrong, but that could change in a day.
Yeah. They did do the bathrooms down there.
Oh, I didn't use the bathroom, so I don't know.
They put a door. They put bathroom doors in the women's restroom.
So if the need arises, you can.
I'll tell you what would be nice there, really nice, is sometimes when you just want to move your boat from right where you put it in around the
Holding
corner.
dock.
If that corner post wasn't there, I mean, you can still swing around it, but it's iffy.
Well, we
Today you might make it tomorrow night, but if you could go from the one dock to the other easier, that would be a big deal. That would be a big deal on moving your boats out of people's way. And
we didn't talk about investing in that anyway, and maybe put some public docks and stuff in there. So I think it's definitely a future conversation. But we do have stuff in the works to try to address some of
I
that.
do have a question too. Why don't the fire department have a boat lift?
They do.
They share the
they share the same boat.
Fire.
No,
police.
why don't they got another boat? Why don't you have a boat lift there?
Why don't we have a boat right there? We're working on that.
You should have one.
We have a plan.
Is that a future budget request we're going to hear?
It is.
Okay, there you go.
He's going to write it right now.
See, you said I always stick up for them.
We just talked about
It's
that.
actually integrated with the new fire station plan. Me and the boss were just
Yeah, because I saw them out the other day. I'm like, they got to pull out every time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have access to the police boat if you wanted to get in quicker,
Yes, we do.
but it doesn't have all your equipment on it. So,
No, we have to carry it.
and you probably wouldn't want to necessarily leave your boat there all the time, but you should have the option.
And water rescues are not a small part of what you do, right?
We've had 33 since the Marine boat got put in service. We've already had 33 water rescue calls.
Wow, that's more than I thought.
It's more than the number of house fires, right?
Far exceeds the number of house fires we get in the city.
Because we got more water
34
than
if you want
land.
to count mine.
That's why.
Chris, you have something?
I do. And I'm way under 9 o'clock, so I'm going to talk a little bit.
Oh, you got plenty of time.
That's what I was figuring.
But now this is old business.
I
We've still
get
got comments. So
So I just, okay, if we got comments, I'll talk during
wait
comments.
till okay. Any other old business?
No, I just wanted to know when somebody's going to work on the dock. Are we going to
I'm gonna
look
talk
into
about
that?
I am not up to speed on docs, so I have to get back with you.
All right,
But
no problem. I just
We'll get some info.
some kind of, like I said, nothing critical right now.
No, but I
But
appreciate
you know,
that.
somebody can just
Well,
kick it out.
maybe if somebody can go out and just assess the current state of it, if there's some minor repairs, go ahead and get those taken care of, obviously, because they did the ramp, they did the bathrooms, take a look at the dock.
And maybe someday redesign. A
Yeah,
little.
and definitely, we definitely need to
Because really, the people that use it know what's not right with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody can build a dock, but it matters to the people that actually use it. How functional it is.
Okay. Any other old business? Okay. Now I'll move on to the next item, which is comments from the mayor and city council. I will start with Vice Mayor, since he has some stuff.
Thank you, Mayor. I in my thought process for what the city looks like if we get busy and get a lot of traction. Right now I know what's drawn me here 10 years ago. I know it draws people here constantly. I know it's going to, the old folks who are leaving now, and there's quite a few of them that are going to go, what's going to draw the newbies, it's going to be the water. It's going to be the sandbar. It's going to be the fishing. It's going to be, they love the dolphins. They love the manatees. They love all that stuff. The only thing we got going for us over here is the water. That's our crown jewel. And, before I had the luxury of installing $50,000 worth of dock at my house and have my own boat in the house, I had to go down that park and I had to back that thing and all that stuff. That's our crown jewel. That park right there is our city crown jewel. Why don't we sit down and figure out a way where we can really, because from what I hear, the other side of the water where we're talking about having a boat ramp, that's not going to be good because the water runs through there so quick. Nobody's going to be able to control their boat fast enough to get out of there. And where it is right now is a great spot. So why don't we figure out a way where we could do, maybe not quite to the extent of a Wayfarer project, but maybe have somebody, an engineer, look at it and find out the best way to make that place function. Rebuild it instead of band-aiding it all back together. Invest some money in there. We got money to do this. That's the access. That's what we got. People are going to come buy houses right now. They're coming to buy houses because they want to go fishing. They're going to have to load their boats in there because they're going to live on Bay Bowl or Blue Point Drive with Dave and me, and they're going to be in the mud trying to get out of their things. They're going to have to load their boats through the old-fashioned way through the boat ramp. So I think we should look at investing some serious money into Nick's Park and making it a world-class area for people to load their boats in and pull them out of there, and all the little things that were mentioned by Lisa here. Fix all those, bring in a committee of people and say, hey, if it was the perfect thing, it'd be like this. And let's invest some money in our crown jewel, because that really is what we have here. We got the water. Let's levy off of that water to our benefit and make it the finest place to go, and maybe even work out some deals with some of those lot owners up there where you got parking for people when they come in here. Plenty of parking, put their boats and their trailers.
Can we, on that same thing, can we have a plan that was put together for the ramp, right? That we were, for the grant process, there was some additions that had more dockage, and there's something that we put together, paid engineering for. I thought that.
No, we have, the only engineering that we have was to redo the ramp and the dock as it exists. Matt was reaching out to firms to redo, to add more slips to the dock and redo the dock, which would include permitting, an application to Army Corps because you're changing the footprint of the existing dock. So he was beginning to look in that, but
I thought that the plans that we had weren't as just redoing what we had. It was a little bit more than that. It wasn't much more, but there was more to it. Like something on the left side, even, or something.
It's just to redo exactly what is there today. That's the plans that we have.
Whatever we have, if we could maybe get that out and look at what that is and start. It's a good starting point.
I think if we have something, fine. But if it's 20 years old and it's just a Band-Aid,
just a base, just start.
I think we take a blank sheet of paper and take the footprint there and have somebody who's real smart on boat docks draw the perfect dock, double wide, perfect place for them to.
Talk to these two who have boats going out of there all the time.
Yeah.
Talk to the people that actually use it.
Let's invest in our crown jewel, which is right there for right now.
Well, I agree with Chris to a degree on this, and I've studied this for years and thought about this for a long time, several different ways, except for the boat ramp part. The problem with the boat ramp is, as we develop the waterfront, you're not going to have a place for boats and trailers to park. Or trucks and trailers. It's going to be very difficult to find parking for them. So more people will be using that boat ramp over there by the bridge, and it's a lot better than Anclote Park. Believe me, Anclote is a horror story. People still use it, so they'll use it. But Nick's Park, I do agree with Chris. We should really invest into that, and I think we should put in a lot of docks and slips, some for transient boaters,
right,
for people on boats wanting to visit our businesses down there in the water treatment. Make a nice park out of it as well. I just find it as difficult for a boat ramp there once we start developing that area because it's just going to be too congested for trucks and trailers, unfortunately. But at the interim right now, we could use it. But yeah, docks, with power, water out there, so people can dock there. They can, transits can spend a night or two. We can charge them. And we can actually make money on docks or even have a harbor master if we want to make sure that everything's taken care of and we can recover their investment on that as well.
Yeah, no, those are good points, Bob. And I was going to bring it up before you jumped in there. You do have a blank slate down there that obviously a significant portion of it's sold, and they're going to be bringing plans to us. And so, depending on what happens down there, it may not be the greatest place for a boat ramp, but it's always going to be next park. And I think we do need to invest in it. I think we do need to have some public slips and stuff down there so people come off the boat, park there at the waterfront, get off and do that. Make it like a Mallory Square type focus point of the waterfront. The problem is that that is the boat ramp for the area. And so I, for one, don't want to lose ramp capability. So a lot kind of rides on what they're going to do across that river over there. Obviously, if they build a nice big boat ramp facility and we have more boat ramp access, then we could potentially look at redesigning Nick's Park.
So there's a lot of things up in the air. We
Right.
don't know what the developers are going to do there. We don't know
Right.
exactly how the boat ramp's going to be done. We don't even know when it's going to be done.
Right.
We have an intro of boat ramp is fine there.
Yes.
I think it's something we should plan for the future. That we should have a place where people can visit by water in the city.
Yeah, and especially we talk about having a walkway going around the waterfront too that would integrate through there. So I don't want to get the cart before the horse and throw a bunch of money at building a boat ramp there. We should definitely invest in it to fix it up so it's usable and whatnot. But long term, we need to look at how that fits in everything else that's going on around us. And then maybe if depending on what that is, we may be able to find local spots for a boat ramp, maybe a small one at Brasher Park. Again, it's not deep water over there, but it for people who don't need deep water, it's a facility to use. Maybe we across the river under the we go to the bridge. It's property over there. It's on the water. We could possibly look at doing some things. We need to look at increasing our boater access. No question. If it's all there at Nick's Park, maybe not. We need to look at that holistically, right? We got other places in the city.
We got the DDMA side too. You could
Exactly. So
create a boat ramp right there,
Right.
and parking.
So
Well, you need to have at least 2 lanes for people on boats. Right now, really, it's 1 lane. You have and if you put it down over by where the casino boat was, a slip, people can launch on that side of the ramp and on this side of the ramp, the Hooter side. Then you could have a place where people can launch boats on and do it at the same time.
Yeah.
So we should look into that if we're going to do that.
Yeah,
I think down the road in 2 years, I think that Pasco County puts a big boat ramp over there by the bridge. Next part, maybe use it just for city
Right.
folks, but you're not going to have room like the park. Trucks and trailers, they're not going to fit in there with the businesses and what we got planned, what we want to plan to put in down there.
right. If you talk about as that property sells down there, the only thing we own is Nick's Park. We got 18 slips. 18, 19, what do you count? 18 slips.
I think 18 or 19.
Yeah, and it probably needs to be redesigned for boat trail park anyway. So it's not a large facility outside of right now you have the bait shop and all the additional parking they have. You've got parking on the other side, but those sell off and they start putting different things in there.
At the moment, yes. At the moment, yes.
Right.
Yeah, but
So
the city also owns those 2 lots that are being leased.
right. But then again, you can probably get some trailers in there too. But,
Oh, yeah.
but you're still not talking about a huge facility for
So that property was initially purchased for
parking.
the citizens, and it was going to be parking
Yeah.
for the citizens, and then it turned into we're landlords. So
A lot of
Just in
people
the
that
interim.
utilize the boat ramp, they lower their boat in there, they take it over to their house, and they've got a lift up and down. Then when they got to take it out, they come over here for that. That's part of that access to the people that are going to buy these houses over here off of Bay Boulevard that are not waterfront homes that are in the $250,000 to $300,000 range. They're going to have boats, and they're going to use that ramp to access it.
Sure.
Well, one of the problem with that is a lot of these homes don't have space to park a boat according to our current regulations. Code enforcement. You got to have it behind the forward-facing portion of your house. Now, to your point, if this is the waterfront stupid, which is what we're looking at here, that's what attracts everybody to this area. We need to be waterfront friendly.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And you know, maybe look at that regulation as well. Do you allow a certain, you know, situation where an individual can park a licensed boat on a trailer in their driveway?
Yeah. And that's going through
Planning and
planning
zoning.
zoning now. Where's that
What's
at?
that?
The boat
No, that's
parking?
not. That's the covered.
There was a
covers.
time when we talked about that. When I was on planning and zoning, there was a time we talked about all that
Right.
with the campers and the
It never
RVs,
came to
with the-
council for.
Never did.
Never.
I remember that being talked about.
It got talked about.
If they're going to buy these
We can
homes
retalk.
and we're not going to
Yes.
plummet prices here, they're going to have to go park a boat somewhere.
Prices already are rock bottom.
I understand, but we're gonna regain that when we become very friendly for boaters and the community, and have a nice boat ramp and put your boat over here and make some exceptions for how they keep their boat at their house and all that. We're a boating community. What do you see at boating communities? Boats.
Yeah.
Dolphin mailboxes,
Well,
right?
our-
You know, people
our
walking around
motto
in
is
flip flops and sandals,
Gateway to the
shorts, like
to the Gulf.
yeah.
I'm in pants tonight.
It's very rare we see you in pants, Gary.
What the heck?
Procedure on that, a little off topic, obviously, from the initial conversation about the boat ramp, but about the boat parking and whatnot.
I made a note of that. I remember it being talked about, and even if the majority said don't change anything, it should have come to you guys for an ultimate decision. So that fell through the cracks somewhere. So
why don't we break
We
that?
did. We did.
Yeah.
When I was on planning and zoning, we talked
I
about.
know it was talked about. It's like I have that memory. So I would talk with Andy about getting on an
Okay.
agenda.
Any objection to talk about that at council level?
No, and at one point in time, I had mentioned in order to have a boat parked in your driveway or yard, and this was years ago when I was sitting out there talking to council. I said, do like Tarpon Springs does, is they have a decal to park within the city. Anybody that parks in the city with a boat trailer. So if I park my boat trailer in my yard, I got to come to the city and pay a fee for that. And that way we know that
You're not storing somebody else's boat at your house.
exactly.
Or a junk 20-year-old boat that's rotting.
exactly. It's got to meet certain criteria. So there's a lot of framework that we could put around that to make it effective.
So let's save that conversation for the agenda item, and because I got some ideas too that we can potentially look at loosening that up and maybe even make it better than it is. So
I'm sure you do.
Awesome. That's all I had, sir.
okay, Councilwoman Burke.
I wanted to bring up about the dock and that stuff. So I already discussed it. I'm fine.
Oh, and probably forward as far as going forward, it's maybe throw an agenda item on about the ramp, or we maybe set up a
I think we should, yeah.
special meeting to
For next
talk about
part.
it, or
Revitalizing next part.
yeah. Well, we just put an agenda item to have a discussion about more length.
Maybe bring in a professional or two.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Any objections to that?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Oh yeah. I'm going to go out to the virtual world and go to you next, Bob. Councilman Hubbard.
About what?
This is your comments that you've been waiting so patiently for.
No comments.
No comment? Okay. Sure? Okay.
Don't press it.
Yeah.
Councilman Mueller.
Yes. Yes, I want to thank the chief for parking these manned cars around town so that it emphasizes that, hey, we're paying attention out there and hopefully getting people to slow down.
Yeah, I thought, man, Chief got here, we hired a bunch of police officers.
Yeah.
Made me slow down.
You ought to have a photo cell on there so when you hit a car, the light goes on, you know?
The only thing that'd be better is I knew Newport Richie, they had a dummy in their car.
You got to get
So
that
if we
dummy.
could get some dummy in the car.
There's no dummies in Fort Ridge. That's just Newport.
I'm sure we can find a few.
Here's another couple
Not hard
ideas.
ways for us, sir.
We just celebrated our 100-year logo. Would we be beneficial to change our logo here to encompass the still houses like we did with the Centennial? It's just an idea. I'm throwing it out there. It's 100 years. I don't know if that's been there 100 years. Is it, you know, we're looking forward, we're changing, you know, we have a signature that the still houses represent Port Richey, right? Is that something that we want to consider? I'm throwing it out there. We don't have to decide anything now. This is just time to talk.
Well, we do have that logo. It's.
I know we paid for it. Yes.
We didn't pay for it.
Yes, we did.
We did.
Didn't we pay
No.
somebody?
we just rented it.
Didn't we pay somebody a
No.
fee to use that
No.
still
No,
house?
he agreed.
He-
He had
he gave it to us.
agreement, but he agreed to it.
Oh, okay.
To use it for the centennial.
Okay.
Yeah, the Centennial. I mean, you may get them to agree to use it forever.
Yeah.
That would be a conversation that
Or,
could be had.
or if we choose to go and take a picture and do it ourselves, we could do that too. You know, there's no cost in that.
You want to take-
Yes, sir. What?
I'd recommend waiting for the branding and wayfinding plan to take off. They're
Sure.
going to have several workshops about that,
Perfect.
and they may come up with a concept with the stilt home as an idea, and not really be the picture, but more or less a centralized, like a general picture that would emphasize Port Richey. So they're going to as part of the plan. They're going to have several workshops, input from the citizens, input from stakeholders to get the best designs, and then bring those designs before council. So as one of them, I would definitely remember this conversation to give them that input as we move forward.
Yeah. Also to potentially look at the pelican, because that's what we deemed as our mascot. So those are two elements. You know, we're crossing the 100-year mark. Do we want to look at freshening this up with something that's relevant now? And like Sal indicates, this we're paying these people to do this wayfinder and search. It would. Be
Well, if we're
beneficial to bring it
going
all
to do
in.
new signage and stuff like that, we want to do the logo at the same time as that.
Correct.
Yeah, we don't want to jump the gun on that. I think I've got everything on that page. I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. I don't have anything that I haven't already talked about.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.